If you already sent a letter of intent and you are just waiting and just hoping for the best, you're probably doing it wrong. In this video, we're going to talk about the things that you could do after sending your letter of intent, what not to do, and templates that you could use and approach this. So let's get to it. Now, most people, by the end of January, they are done with their interviews. Most people are fatigued. I know, because I was super fatigued. Now, the first thing I need to tell you is that January interviews are important interviews. January and February interviews are very important. The program that I matched, actually I interviewed in January. So for those of you who have few interviews, do not fumble it. Take it very seriously and go in very prepared, because there's always this myth about, oh, residency interviews that you have in January and February are not as important as the ones you had previous, but that is completely false. Now, why am I talking about this? By the time it's January or February, we're all fatigued, right? And the tendency is for you to slow down. I personally did that because by the time it was January, I had so much fatigue that I didn't follow through with so much energy as I should have. Now, one of the things that are the biggest things that you could do after sending a letter of intent. Now, by the way, letter of intent is that letter you send to the program to tell them how much you want to be at that program and how much of a good fit you are. You have to be able to send a very high quality letter of intent. That is very important because programs take it very seriously. If you want a guide on how to write a letter of intent that actually moves the needle, I will leave a link down below so you can click on that video and make sure you watch that video. But one of the things that could set you apart after sending your letter of intent, number one, is having your mentor call for you or email for you. Now, this sounds very obvious. I think everybody does that, but actually nobody does this. Why? Because most people, by the time it's January, most of us are fatigued, right? You're tired. You are not complacent. This happened to me. I sent my letter of intent, but I was just like, I was hesitant to reach out to my mentors. But this is actually leaving money on the table. This is hurting yourself. You're shooting yourself in the feet. Now, when I say mentor, I'm talking about people who are actually very motivated to call for you, people who are asking you about updates. We have different types of mentors. We have the active mentors, we have the passive mentors. I would recommend that you reach out to your active mentors, people who can speak for you, and reach out to them and have them call or email. Now, which is preferred, call versus email? It is preferred that they make the phone call if they can. When they make this phone call, you want them to talk about things that truly matter, not, oh, hell, this my candidate is a fantastic mentee, is a great guy, please rank him. Not that. You want them to speak in alignment. That's the goal. You want them to talk about your skill, your strength, and how that strength applies to that program and how it makes you, the candidate, a good fit. So, something like, my mentee's endurance, he's very hardworking and he loves research. But more importantly, what I think is his biggest strength is that he is able to interpret research and bring that to the bedside. I think this is one of the core strengths of your program, and I can see him doing so well in that program. You get what I'm trying to say? Now, you are having your mentee speak about your strengths to align with that program. That is very important. Alignment and fit is what it boils down to at the end of the day. So you just don't want them to just call. Most of them will know, but you still want to have them, let them know what they should call about and talk about when that call happens. Now, for email, it's the same thing. They just have to put it in writing. I don't know how effective it is in terms of the data, email versus call. I've been told anecdotally that calls are way better. Nonetheless, email will be the same format. You put your strength and align that strength with the program and send that. And I'm going to put a link down below. You can get a sample copy of the email that your mentor can send to programs. And this is important. Now, me personally, like I said, I didn't do this because I was fatigued, but I have a friend who did this. His mentor sent an email to that program. And when we matched, even up to the time he was about to graduate, the program director always talked about that email that his mentor had sent and how that was an important factor that played into his match. Now, most of us don't know this, but someone in the field who is respected, someone in the field who can call and talk about you, is one of the biggest yardstick they use during ranking. So I would encourage all of you that have mentors who truly can call or email for them. That is what you want to do. Another myth I want to say is that talk about is that people think that by the end of the interviews, all programs do their ranking and then it's done. That is not true. By the end of the interviews, some programs do their ranking, true, but there is still one last meeting that everybody has to meet and talk about the ranking in finality. So you don't want to be the guy that thinks that programs have done their ranking when they truly have not completed the ranking, because at the end of the ranking, there's still chance to move people up and down. So you want to make sure that you are not leaving money on the table. Now, the second thing you can do, and this applies to very few people, but it is super important, is second look. Now, some programs, they send you an email, do you want to come for a second look? Yes or no? We have, this will have no impact on your ranking. This is completely at your own, option of coming. Fine, that is true. However, coming in person, going for a second look is a very high signal that you are super interested in that program. Because people know that you can be anywhere you want to be, or you chose to come. Now, my own personal experience is that I had a second look and I went to the program. It wasn't a weekend, it was on a Saturday. I flew across the country, went to the program, and it was a nice experience, right? But I got matched. I matched there, and that was because I can't say for sure if this just my going for in-person second look was the reason, but human beings have bias, right? And as much as we would like to be as objective as we want to be, behaviors create bias in people. And when people see you show up physically, they cannot help but think that you will be the better fit than another person who didn't show up. So if you can, please go for your second look. The third thing you could do is have an internal person advocate for you. Now, we talked about a mentor, we've talked about going in person for a second look. But the third thing you could do is having an internal person. And what does that mean? An attending, a chief resident, or a resident, someone in the program who knows what you're capable of. Have them reach out to the program leadership one last time. They probably have talked to them in the past, right? But this is the final advocacy that they want to do for you, because people forget, people have a change of heart. So you want to make those people, you want to make your advocates in the program speak for you. One of the problems that you might have as an applicant is that at some point you don't want to, you feel like a burden to people. You don't want to keep messaging people. You don't have to message people. But at this point, you just want to have them know that you are thinking about them, right? So you want to reach out to that program, chief resident or resident, and just thank them for their efforts so far, and ask them if they could just reach out one last time for you, just to have the program remember you or have the program know about your interest. And this is important because a lot of programs rely on their residents and chief residents in selecting future residents. This is something that people don't really think about as much, but programs truly rely on residents in selecting other residents. So if a good resident advocates for you, the program will take it seriously. So you should definitely don't leave money on the table. Approach that resident, approach that attending, and have them advocate for you one last time. Now, we've talked about the things that you should absolutely do after sending your letter of intent. What are the things that you should absolutely not do? The things that you could do and be penalized for. Number one is sending multiple emails non-stop. Now, every time you send an email, the program makes a note of it and they put it in your file, right? It gets to a point where it becomes a red flag, it becomes unprofessional, and it's seen as you don't understand boundaries and you may run into trouble. There's such a thing called do not rank, meaning that this person doesn't have moral character. We cannot have the person in our program. So sending multiple emails back and forth, especially if the emails are unsolicited. Now, if the program is asking you a question, it's okay to reply them, right? But you want to only send emails that move the needle. Don't send complimentary emails. Don't send emails just to check in. No. Only important emails. Next question is, when is the perfect time to do all these things? To have your mentor reach out, to have your internal advocate for you. And it's difficult to say because it varies from program to program. Some programs do it early, some programs do it later. In general, mid-January to mid-February is the sweet spot. That's when you want to reach out to your mentors, reach out to the internal advocates, and go for your second look if you have not already done that. After doing all these things, then you sit down and you create your rank list. And creating your rank list is a whole topic we're going to have to talk about. Be sure to watch my next video. We'll talk about creating your rank list in a way that will favor you as the applicant. So, good luck in the match, and as usual, I'll see you in another one.